Welcome back to Paranormal, the New Normal. I'm your host, as always, Jeremy, here trying to make the world seem a little more normal. Does it ever happen? Oh, Lord, no. We pray, and it never will happen, but doesn't make a difference because we like it this way, and that's why we're here, because we like to talk about the abnormalities of life and everything in between. Welcome back, folks. I am joined tonight by a very special guest. Always happy to have another paranormal podcaster on the show. And I am joined by Tom Cahue, host of Labeled Paranormal Podcast, and I hope I didn't fuck up your name.
Not at all. You got it right. Excellent. 100% there.
Glad to hear it. Well,
Yeah.
welcome to the show, Tom, and how you
We're
doing
having,
tonight?
I'm doing well. Loving the Northeast. We're getting a little bit of a mild right now, so I'm enjoying it tonight out here. Hopefully, we can see something in the skies, right?
Yeah, that's always the hope. What part of the Northeast you're from, just out of curiosity?
Philadelphia, greater Philadelphia area.
Oh, okay. I got a few podcasting friends in Philadelphia. Um, I'm up in Massachusetts, so yeah, today was actually fucking nice, so can't complain.
Yeah. We'll take what we can get in January.
Exactly. This weekend doesn't look as pleasant, but we'll see what comes of it.
Yes.
But anyway, folks, we are here once again to show you life isn't normal. And what better way to do that than when two paranormal podcasters? And
Mhm.
not just that, folks, Tom is also part of a paranormal society. So that's a whole nother world we're going to get into in a minute. But let's start back at the beginning like we always do. Tom, what got you into the paranormal world?
Excellent. Well, great to be on. Great to talk to your loyal fan base. So, yes, let's get into the weird stuff. So, my upbringing, my house, I guess it all started there. My upbringing. We were an X Files family. We were a unsolved mysteries family. Other people had House on the Prairie. We had paranormal shows. That's what it was. It was open dialogue. We got to talk about it around dinner. So of course, when you're not shamed from an early age, you start believing that everybody can talk about it, and everybody talks about these things. And it was a rude awakening, I'll be honest, growing up, that not everybody believes the way. But at least from my house, it was on TV. I have the nostalgia bug, something fierce for the unsolved mysteries, the fact or fake, beyond belief, that show. Any various Fox programs that came on debunking this, or the Tomb of the Mummy, whatever it was. We always watched it. We gather around. It was something that was very interesting to me, albeit from a fear point of view. At first, I was scared, growing up. I didn't want any of this, but as I got older and the fear got conquered and you get more old, it just became an obsession. And, right now, being in my mid to late 30s, you have a lot more time on your hands than when you were in your 20s. So I'm filling it out with these sorts of things: podcasting, guesting, and trying to find the truth in a world that is full of diversion. So that's how I'll answer that one.
Oh, I personally love that freaking answer. I mean, what can I say? I mean, I didn't get into the X File. Funny story, actually. I haven't told my listeners about this in a long time, but when I was a kid, I used to watch Fox every Sunday night. You know, Simpsons,
Same here.
uh, King of the Hill. But
Yep.
then at 9 o'clock, when X Files would come on, I would hear that, and I would
Yeah.
like turn off the TV, run to my room. Because X Files, that music scared the freaking crap out of me. So
Yep.
I would turn off the TV and run to my room. Only in 2012, 2011, X Files was on Netflix when Netflix first started streaming. So I'm
Mhm.
like, you know what? I like all this stuff. I like all these documentaries about aliens and ghosts and whatnot. Let's check out the X Files. Finally, it's David Duchovny. I was watching Californication at the time, so I love David Duchovny. And I'm
Yeah.
like, let's check it out. Became one of my top shows of all time. I freaking love the X Files. I'm lucky I watched it when I did because I got to enjoy the reboot after seeing the whole original series in the movies. So
Okay.
I enjoy the hell out of the X Files. Fox Mulder, I am Fox Mulder. I want to believe in everything. So Even the Loveland Frogmen, for God's sakes, people. I want to believe in the Loveland Frogmen.
They don't get enough. They do not get enough credit. They are a part of the core. We need to accept them as a whole. That's what we're here to do. We're here to find out the whole truth. And, myself on Label Paranormal, we break things down into topics with Mark, my co host, myself, and our producer, Cassandra, over here. We want to know everything. And I relate so much to your story about the music. What is it about those haunting, I guess, D minor chords that always get to us? It is the pianos are the sound of paranormal.
They are, and I mean, but Exorcist, this Halloween, everything. I mean, but
Yes.
it's just, and just for the folks in Spotify land when this episode finally does release in audio form, when he says Cassandra, he's pointing to a LED gray light with headphones on, which is fucking awesome.
Oh,
So just so everybody knows what he's talking about when he says that there's not actually a woman behind him just standing there, but
look
but
at
yeah,
me,
I mean
normal.
those
Someone over my shoulder.
exactly. I mean the piano notes. I don't know what it is, but for the longest time, I mean to this day, they still kind of like they used to scare me. Now they just kind of entice me because it's just like, what's this
Yes.
now?
Hmm.
And I've for a long time I wanted to do a Patreon version of this show called X Files X Ray, where it's an episode by episode breakdown and related
Oh,
to the paranormal.
you gotta have me on for an episode of that. You have to. If that comes to fruition, I'm throwing my hat in the ring.
Honestly, if I had someone else to do it with that actually was down to do it like on a regular basis, it might actually come to fruition. So that's a possibility. That's 100% a possibility. So
We'll talk.
maybe we'll talk in the future about that because that's a dream of mine right now. Like I just want to do that. Like that's podcasting I could talk about and love. So maybe we could do that. But
Yeah, that would be very
so
exciting.
did you have any experiences growing up in the house you grew up in that would like really sink you into the paranormal world?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'll tell you my first paranormal experience story that I'm aware of. There were other things that I can get into that happened, but it was more to like I wasn't old enough to understand. So, the first
Of
one that
course.
happened to me, I'll tell it because it's adorable. It's adorable. It's cute. So I'm at my dad's house, which was the house, parents had, mom moved out, everything good, nothing weird like that. So, split custody. We come home to his house after school. There were two cats that were there, indoor cats. And, for whatever reason that day, my dad decided, I don't want to deal with them. They're in the basement. He shut the door and locked it. And, of course, me being 10 years old and my brother being 8, all we want to do after school is play with the animals. You know what I mean? So can we play with it? No, no, don't worry about it. Okay. So after we gave that up, it's about 6, 7 o'clock. This is the '90s, right? So there was one TV that had the cable in the
Of
living room.
course.
Yeah, and then there was one that had like a VCR and stuff in the parents' bedroom, and the kids, we didn't have anything. So, no tablets, no nothing like that at that time. So me and my brother are watching, just so it was probably Star Wars because we were all into that. So we're watching that in the room. I'm laying at in front of the TV, like with a pillow against the side of the bed, so just like propped up. I can see out into the hallway. I look in the hallway and I see an animal. I see a cat, and it was our cat. I go and I'm like, oh, and I like immediately hop up, start to move, right? It jets back up the hallway. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I get out into the hallway. I look, I'm only like 2 steps from the door. So I know cats are fast, but this thing would have had to been hauling ass to get all the way down the hallway and turn into either the living room or the dining room, right? Uh,
Yep.
I follow it out there, not thinking much of it. It's not there. I follow it out. I get to the living room. My dad's watching, cable. He's watching TV. And I was like, you let the cat up? And, of course, his reaction being, bore ass to death. He was like, I didn't let the cat. I'm not letting the cat up. The cat's downstairs. I look in the dining room, because it splits off. It kind of tees. The living room's here, the dining room to the basement door. It's shut. I go over to it. It's locked. So obviously, if this cat were if my dad was playing a long con, there's no way for him to open the door, let the cat down, locked it, get back on the couch in the time it took me to take 5 steps, to go up the hallway. The
Of
door's locked.
course.
I open the door. I go and I walk down into the basement. Our basement is flooding. There are the two cats we have are in this probably like 3 foot by 3 foot square in the corner of the unfinished basement in the only area that there is no water. My dad comes down. He's like, "Oh crap!" We pick the cats. We bring them upstairs. Who knows what would have happened in that flooding basement? We were a house at the bottom of the hill. You never want to have it, but we had it. And all the rainwater came right in. The waterproofing gave up that day, whatever you want to call it. But there was a ton of water all over the floor. Who knows if those cats would have drowned? But we brought them upstairs, and I never thought anything at the moment, but afterwards, looking back, I said, was that a natural projection? Was that animal trying to get our attention upstairs because they were in danger? So that in that house was my first paranormal experience, and it what didn't even involve a human entity. It was a more of a projection, more of and definitely was an animal, but it was more of a projection that way. Um, but in terms of that house as well, there's other experiences that went on later. The phantom smells, they get me. The disembodied voices, the mimicking doppelganger type where you think you hear your dad, but they're or your brother or your whomever.
Oh,
Yes,
those
yeah,
right there. Well, before I get into that, hello, my Harley. Glad to have you watching again. And Harley says your first story is crazy, and I mean in a good way, of course. But
absolutely.
it's I gotta say though the disembodied voices. I see those posts on Facebook all the time where like this person will like hear their significant other talking to them for a
I know,
while, and
I
then
know.
like they walk like it's like all of a sudden my significant other walked into the bedroom and was like, no, I was in across the hall in the other room, like I wasn't downstairs, and it's just like what? Like that's the type of stuff that I mean, my house is haunted. My listeners know this. My house is freaking haunted, but it is the most mild haunting in the world. I don't see things. People who live in my house do, but I don't see things. And I mean, it doesn't bother anybody in my house to a full extent where like we're going in, like we even notice the hair half the time. So, but to actually have like a doppelganger thing going on would make me move. It would make me move. I'd be putting my house on the market and I'd be living in a shack if I had to until I freaking found a place to live. Like I don't care. Like if spirits if spirits want to fuck with me that bad, then no, I'm gone. I'm gone. I love the paranormal, but I ain't try. That's dude. I mean, I know some people. I know some people who clear houses, and I'd be calling them in a second. I'd be like, "Get your ass out here now!
Yeah,
I need you here like 2 days ago. Come on!" Oh, disembodied voices. That creeps me out. That creeps me out more than black eyed kid. For God's sake. I mean, I could
yeah.
knock out a kid. I could knock out a black eyed kid. I can't freaking knock out a disembodied voice. So.
That
Ugh, Jesus. Ugh.
that has followed me my whole life. The what are the trickster spirit, the doppelganger haunting that has followed me my whole life. To be fair, I've no matter where I've been, I've heard the voices of the familiar voices, friends, family, girlfriends at the time, parents, and it always brings us different kind of chill, something more sinister feeling than the residual type of haunts, the other type of entities, the energies. It's definitely, what are you trying to lull me into? What false sense of security are you trying to lull me into? When is going to be the time that I answer one of those calls? And
Oh, if you're damn smart, it'd be never. It'd be never. But Harley says the same thing. She hears them all the time, thinking it's her kids or somebody else is talking to her. But
yeah,
and I mean, it's see, folks. This is why, as Derek Hayes of Monsters Among Us says, if you hear voices calling you from the woods, don't
yes,
ever go into the woods.
no, no, love Derek,
Like it's
love.
just. Are you a MAU fan too?
I'm in the whole get up. I got shirts, I got the
Ah,
yeah, so
I
mhm,
I've I've had Derek on this show about a year ago or maybe more even. He was in the first like 6 months of my show, and having him on my show was one of my greatest honors ever because he got me back into the paranormal after years of being out of it. So I
That's cool.
I applaud him anytime I get a chance in this show because his show brought me back into the paranormal because it was just people in their own voices telling their stories and multiple different stories in an episode. It's just an amazing format.
Yeah.
I almost wanted to do the same. I wanted to do the same thing when I started my podcast, but just it seems like too much work when I don't have enough time to sit there and edit people's calls left and right and trying to get all the calls. Like it's a nightmare, Derek. I appreciate what you do as well as thousands of other people do. So
Yes, hats off.
applauding, but I mean, oof, disembodied voices. Back to disembodied voices, like oof, Jesus.
You've never had any
So
experience with them?
uh, no, I don't
Okay.
believe so. I mean, usually if I hear a voice, it's just my kids annoying me. But I mean, it's just I mean, if I hear a voice, if I hear a voice, it's usually someone I actually know is trying to get my. Okay, actually, that's not true. That's not true. Because like at work, I have to wear headphones all day,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
like, well, not all day. I mean, I can take them off when I want, but I mean, I wear headphones all day, whether I'm on making calls, coming sales, or whether I'm listening to music. I have my headphones on all day, so sometimes I'll like think I hear people calling my name, and then like I'll turn around and like nobody's looking at me. Nobody looks like they're trying to get my attention. So it's just like, okay, I'm just gonna ignore that. I'm just gonna ignore that. Excuse me, getting over a
You
cold here. But
earbox yourself with music. That's what you do.
I mean, I listen to some. I mean, if you come on maniacal music eventually. I mean, you probably won't see it on the episode you're on, but I do listen to some dark ass shit. Like, I don't bring it on for guests on my show often. They have to be something special to get my dark side music. But
Darker than Melvins.
I darker than who?
The Melvins.
My co-host Chance. He actually brought on the Melvins once. They are
Okay.
a damn good band. They are a damn good band. So
Here's your
but I
title
mean,
podcast: Doppelgangers and Melvins.
uh, but I mean, no, I mean, it's I no, it's more horrorcore, like rap type music. I mean, I'm a juggalo first and foremost, and I go a lot darker than just juggalodom too. Though I go into other horrorcore artists who are a lot darker than Insane Clown Posse ever could be. So, but it's just one side of me. I have so many sides of my music that's not even funny.
Yeah.
I can go from listening to a song about killing people to a song from the '80s about like dancing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just it
Loose.
can it's variety is a spice of life. That's all I gotta say. Variety is a
It is.
spice of life, and there's mood for everything.
Well,
But
it speaks to our soul.
and Harley says apparently in her wedding pictures there was faces on the door and no one was on the other side of the door. I mean, Harley, that's just that's bad omens. I call that bad omens right there. But personally,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
don't know. What
mean,
do you think? What do you think of that, Tom?
so that the picture stuff I haven't really caught on my end in my house. But definitely, I have heard of people who have had those things and it's not there. And, for when you go and you look and you see it, you think, how could nobody have noticed it at the time? And that's a whole different subject and verse that I've talked about before, but it's is our technology greater than our capacity to see the world? Is that what it is? How many times, especially we just talked about Monsters and Moments, that's a great example. How many times do the callers say, when I was there, nothing was there, and when I, snapped a picture, took a video, and I reviewed it later? It's so cliche in the paranormal world. And what I'm thinking is, at what point did the technology overtake our senses? You know, at what point did it take over our senses that we are able to see different, or we can't see what's actually there? And it's quite frightening, but yeah, with those pictures and with those coming in, we're capturing in that moment in time a physical manifestation of of a spirit that's there. That's what I truly believe. And when we have so many, how do we put it, so many energy devices that are all around us, whether it's Wi-Fi network, cell phone, 4G, 5G, whatever you want to call it, cell phones everywhere. Are we amplifying the ability for lower vibrational energies to come through? Because I don't say it's like an epidemic or anything, but like there's so much more evidence now. And yes, part of it can be chalked up to everybody now having cell phones, everybody having a media device on them at all times. That's pretty powerful. But in one interesting point, somebody back on my podcast I was talking to was a guest, was they claimed that there is an epidemic of souls not crossing over, of misinformation and not going into the white light and staying around here that attach to living people. I thought that was fascinating that, I never even thought that what is going on now and how there are perhaps more sightings now could be because of something not happening in the afterlife. It's
I
quite
mean,
odd.
well, okay, that brings up another conversation we'll have in a second here, but
Sure.
I will say I did have an experience with that, and my
Okay.
listeners haven't heard my listeners haven't heard this in a while, so I will tell it in full details because I don't like to bore them with the same stories of mine over and over again. But it's been a while since I mentioned this. When I first bought this house, we knew my wife and her family were up here fixing it up one weekend, and they were here overnight while I went back to my mom's place every night because that's where I lived. And
Hmm.
I'd rather sleep in a bed than in on the floor. So sorry, honey, I didn't want to sleep on the floor with you, but I like comfort. But but so I had paranormal investigators come in from a local chapter, which I really should get them on the show because it's been 2 years. I should get them on the show now, but I gotta go look and see what the hell they were. I honestly don't remember. But we we were in my kids' room, and it was really like they sensed a lot of stuff going on in my kids' rooms. And all of a sudden, I'm in my kids' room and the door's shut. The lights are off. They have all their instruments going, and we're talking, and they're trying to get in contact with a spirit. And all of a sudden, I get the coldest freaking chill up my back I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you guys feel that? And they're like, what? I'm like, my back just got freezing. And like they start snapping pictures of me because I said that. And come to find out, they emailed me the pictures a couple days later. And underneath my arm, because my arms are hanging down, and I'm a big guy, so my arms kind of hang. And in between my arm and my armpit was a face, or at least
Oh,
I could see it. I could see a face, and a lot of people who have seen the picture could see a face. I haven't. I actually got to find that picture. It's in my Google Photos somewhere. I just haven't seen it in a long time, but it's in my email somewhere too. But basically, I mean, the end story of it all was that the original couple who lived in the house and built it live here still in their past life, and they never had kids, so we think they're looking out for our kids.
no.
Now we've been told there might be something darker in our house and we have a theory that this couple might be coming through the light here and then, like because I don't think they stay here permanently. I think they go in and out when they want to. They
Mhm.
traverse through space and time, but they come here when they want to, and I think they protect my kids from whatever else is in the house. So
I
that's my
see.
theory.
I see.
I really need a house cleansing. I know so many people who can do it. I just always forget to reach out to people, and like that's my biggest problem in life. I forget to reach out to people unless it's podcast related. So I gotta reach out. I got it. But so I actually have pictures of what looks like a face. If I can find it, I'll share it with you. But it's the creepiest freaking thing in the world. And actually, I'm better looking now, but it's the creepiest thing in the world. And it was my first real brush with the paranormal, even though I was always into it. And
Hmm.
I didn't start this podcast yet. That would come like another 6 months later. But still, it was my first brush with the paranormal. And every so often in this house, I'm sitting in my house and it's nice and warm, like 70 degrees, 72 degrees, whatever. And I'll be sitting on the couch and it just gets so cold. Like you just get like not like see your breath cold, but it gets cold. Like you just notice a difference around you. And it's just like, oh,
Yeah.
uh, hey Rally, hey whatever your wife's name is, hi. Like it's
I hope it's you.
or who? I hope it's you and not the other thing. I really do. But I don't know. That's
Yeah.
I mean it's just a story of my own, but what you said something that kind of inspired where I think I want to take this next. And
Sure.
What do you think happens when we die?
Oh man,
But,
we, we
before I get into my theory, I'll let you tell yours.
okay. So I certainly believe there is an afterlife. I have. I'm not going to spin you any yarn if I'm convinced and things like that, but I have my own theory, and my own theory is that we're multidimensional beings. And heaven, rather than being this place up in the sky, which I guess technically it could be, but I believe it's a higher dimensional plane than what we're at now. I've heard some talk that made sense to me about heaven starting on like the fifth dimensional plane if we're 3D, right? And if we're the fifth dimensional plane of the is the lowest level of hell, and you can go up and traverse as your soul gets things right, the more times it comes back. I tend to believe that. I tend to believe that a lot of the minutia about religion and things like that can be boiled down to one entity wants your soul and the other entity wants your soul, and you are going to pick where you go. Based on your life. So these whole different religions, the simulation theory, interdimensional, there's ways that a lot of different parts of these could be true about the whole. So I believe you pass on, comet hits me right now, psst, I'm gone. The light, I enter the light, I go to my life review, I don't see all the bad things I've done. I see how wonderful my life was, how many people love me and prepare me for the love that enters at the fifth dimensional plane and then up, if I was deemed to be good. And if I don't go into the light, I roam around here as an entity, that it stays on the planet and becomes essentially a spirit that people like me or other paranormal investigators go and bother and try to get on camera and try to use tools that are kind of like the right thing to use, but we don't even know what we're supposed to use. So that's my afterlife idea.
Well, okay, we don't differ that much, honestly. And it's funny you say fifth dimension because I just had somebody on the show. A that's not him. That's an old episode I just put out. I had a psychic on June Edwards, actually one of the top 10 guests on Podmatch right now, and she said that heaven is on the fifth dimension, and that's what her guardian angels have told her. And I mean, that falls into my beliefs personally because I have been all my beliefs were dramatically changed by running this show for 2 years, and everything
Mhm.
everybody's told me I kind of put together into what I can think is close to reality.
Okay.
And I believe that when we die, we are not we're either extraterrestrial spirits in human bodies, like Scientology may have got it right. Sorry, people, Scientology may have got it right, or or we're or we're some other kind of spirit in a human body that we don't know what it is yet. Even we can't define it. But when we die, we go to a basically like a DMV in the sky, a DMV in another dimension, basically. And is it the fifth dimension? Who the hell knows? There's 12 to 17 of them from what I've been told. So there's 12 to 17 dimensions that we know about,
Hmm.
and whichever one of those we go to when we die, I don't know which. I haven't died, so I couldn't tell you, but at least to my knowledge. But we go there, and I mean we could be waiting from. I've been told different things. I've been told it's pretty fast. I've been told that we could be waiting was technically 20, 50, hundreds of human years, and we're waiting there, and we wait for our next assignment.
Hmm.
And whether it's I mean it's whether we grow and whether we have predetermined goals when we're going into this body or not. I don't know. I don't know if I fully fall behind that, but we just go to another body and we keep living different lives. And I mean, it would
Hmm.
make more sense if there was like an end goal, like you're supposed to learn this life, this life, and if you don't, you're going to repeat that and learn the same lesson over again until you get it right. So I mean, what's the end goal of it all? I don't fucking know. I mean, if we end up in an alien spaceship somewhere having a party for the rest of eternity, great. I mean, if we just go into non-existence, kind of, where we're just kind of I guess the best way to say it is kind of like Futurama, where we just go into space and we're like how God was just molecules in space, and like that's kind of what we become.
Yeah.
Like if we become something bigger like the universe, I don't know, but I mean, I feel like there has to be something there for us to want to do all this. To otherwise, our spirits would just be like, "Fuck you, we're not doing this. We're sick of being humans on this horrible planet, so we're not going back." But then again, I've also been told we don't always go back to Earth; that we can go back to different planets depending on what we're supposed to do that life. So,
I've heard that as well too.
the,
Yeah.
I mean, my theory, of course, has a lot of what ifs because you can't have a theory this existential and not have what ifs involved in this theory because who the hell knows? Who the hell knows? That's the bottom line. Is I mean, we yes, some of us have died and come back, and we know it. Yes, we can get past life regressions done, but that tells us about our past lives, not quite in between them. So sometimes I hear that can be told, but I don't put much faith in that, honestly. So I
Yeah.
mean, go
So,
ahead.
sorry. Yeah, no, the past life regression model has been very intriguing to me. I would even be down to do a hypnosis session like on cam and just let's have a viewer see what the heck's going on, right? But
See,
I have heard of life between lives hypnosis where you are taking to your spiritual counsel and getting a kickstart of like, this is why you came back. What you're doing over here, you're off the path. You need to go this way. Whether that's believable or not to some, that's on the individual. But I have heard that on my pod I straight up asked them. I said, "What if you need a kickstart? How am I if we know this before we came on this planet, if we know this after we came, why can't we just why can't we just understand the mission and have it now?" And they said, you feel it's right, you feel what you're doing is right. Well, there's a lot of things that feel right that aren't right. And I don't, I had to ask and get it out of them and drill them like, hey, what is, how do I get a step in the right direction? I don't want to know the whole thing, but just which way should I be looking to lead the life that I was supposed to lead? But what you said about the afterlife and everything, I do, I believe it's connected with interdimensional beings, and I believe even UFOs, aliens, things like that. I do believe are interdimensional and also extraterrestrial, where it is another planet, but it could be, a planet that we can only access through a different dimension. We know nothing uh, of how space works. We know nothing of this thing called consciousness. We don't know why we have it. So, how can we even explain that? And consciousness, to me, seems like the untapped energy potential of making everything work, right? Figuring out a way to, if you can telepathically communicate with another entity, being what have you. I believe that was taken from us. And I'll get into my own belief here, where I think that me, humans, were bioengineered from an alien race, and then also the primates that were on this planet. I do believe,
ooh,
yes, I do believe we were created. I believe there is no missing link because our missing link left on a ship however long ago. I believe that that's where we are because let's be honest, if you were to believe the Anunnaki, and I'll just use them as a reference, if you were to believe the Anunnaki story verbatim, like from front to back, they're a sort of god to the individuals, the hominids that were here. And of course they would be because they landed in off a damn spaceship and stepped foot and were, tens of feet tall. Um, they needed gold for their planet. If we were to believe it, they needed gold. They needed to bioengineer a race of slaves, basically, to go and dig up gold and get it to them to move back to their planet. If we were to believe that, if we were to believe, that story's true, then we can put the pieces together of how we were this slave race and they left for whatever reason. Maybe they got everything that they wanted. If you read the book of Enoch, which is a forbidden book of the Bible, if you were to go
yep.
and that there you go, that route, some were left behind because they wanted to cultivate a human race of allies, basically, and teach us things. And when they left, I'm sorry to say, and it might be controversial, but we love enslaving each other. It's almost in the DNA. Why do we love gold? Gold, it has so many uses, but we like to wear it on a ring or jewelry. It's shiny. Where does that come from? So I just wanted to float that out there for any one of your listeners who might, subscribe to that or want to, pop on and ask more questions. But I truly, truly believe, we were engineered, and that's my own personal opinion.
Man, I fucking love you as a guest because you just bring up so many of the greatest topics ever. So,
I'm just one
so
big.
let me unwrap everything you just said. And
Sure, let's
well,
go. Let's go.
first things first. Yes, humans do love gold, and yes, humans do love enslaving each other. Certain things in that topic we're not going to touch, but I mean, just I like to keep my podcast not canceled, thank you. But fuck. All right, so yeah, I mean, ancient aliens is definitely something I believe in because yeah, I don't believe the guy with the crazy hair on the History Channel 100%. No, but I don't believe him 100%. But the guy that looks like Charlie from Always Sunny with crazy hair, no, I don't believe him 100%. But um, I've been told, and this is through people who have talked to aliens and have basically double checked this history. Palladians, and Anunnaki, reptilians. There's more of them, but I don't know their fucking names. But they've all been here since before humans. There was a war on Earth at one point, I was told, and this is when Atlantis was at large between these different alien races. And basically, this basically caused, from what I can gather, one of our major disasters. And that's when all these alien races decide to run tail and leave Earth. Except for the reptilians who went underground, of course, because, City of Gold underneath LA. Oh, gold! Wait, there it is again. And so, um, I mean, I 100% believe that we either were here already, evolved. I've always was. I mean, I have always been a scientific person, so evolution always made sense to me
Hmm.
because I was a biology major, so evolution always made sense to me in college. Like we were evolved. It made sense. Like, did lightning strike a fucking puddle? No. No, 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 no. That's just stupid. But they have no other way to explain it, so that's how they explain it. But I, we were evolved, but it was done by the hands of extraterrestrials, I believe. They were our god, for lack of a better word. They were our
Yeah.
god.
Yes.
And yes, we might have been slaves for them for a while. I don't know if that's 100% true or not. How could I know? How could I? But something happened with us in the extraterrestrials, and but you say there's no missing link. That part kind of pisses me off because
Okay.
Sasquatch is our missing link.
Okay.
He was either I'm sorry, I shouldn't say he in this uh, LGBTQ world we live in. They were either a failed experiment by the extraterrestrials that they couldn't control, or they were extraterrestrials to begin with, and they were put here, which kind of ties into my prison planet theory. But that's a whole nother theory I'm not going to get into tonight
Oh,
because that's
I love
that.
that.
If you listen to my previous episodes, at some point you'll hear that multiple times. But my prison planet theory is very. It would take up a half hour of this fucking show. But I have a great prison planet theory, but there's a lot of what ifs in there as well, of course, because in this field you can't not have what ifs. But so I mean, yeah, the only things I can say for sure, extraterrestrials were here before us. They either created us or evolved us, whatever terminology you want to fucking use. I don't give a shit.
Mhm.
But they had a huge hand into what we became. There is a missing link. It's Sasquatch, Yeti, Yowie, whatever you want to call it. Every country in every continent in the freaking world has a Bigfoot of its own. So Except, well, okay, except Antarctica we know about, but Antarctica has a lot of things we don't know about, so who the hell knows? And Uh, and I mean, I think the extraterrestrials come back here and they probe us once in a while just to, give a physical to their creation
Yeah.
and say, "Hey, what's been up your ass lately?" There you go. But I mean, I they come back and they visit and they watch us. I mean, the part of Massachusetts I'm from, we see UFOs constantly because we it's been told to us. I mean, I've heard that they like to mine something out of the mountains around us. I
Hmm.
mean, Worcester County, Massachusetts is famous. Apparently, I didn't realize how widespread this was until I started interviewing people, and like that's where I'm from. They're like, "Oh, you're from Worcester County. Oh, that's where the aliens come to get the radon out of the ground." Excuse me, what did you say? But
Wow.
I mean, my
See that?
house has radon, so I mean, yeah, my house has radon issues, so I can believe it. But it's just,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I, I 150 fucking percent believe aliens exist. There's no doubting that in my mind. I've seen proof of it in videos. No, I'm not talking about the mall videos that we've seen recently, people. I don't believe in that shit. That looked like it was a highly well done prank by kids, and I congratulate you, kids. You fooled a lot of stupid Americans and people around the world. Congratulations. My hat's off to you on that one. I really Ooh, we actually broke that down on Global Strangers, my other paranormal podcast this last weekend. We broke that. One of our co-hosts broke that down 100% and explained how it had to be kids, because somebody went back and another kid went back and filmed the mall like a couple days later, and the mall that they were supposed to be at looks completely different than the way they filmed it.
Oh.
So so they definitely faked some of that footage. I mean, so it was kids, 100% it was kids, but or teenagers, I say. Kids can't do that, but it was 100% teenager. Oh, I mean, these days, who the fuck knows? But kids can do a lot of these days that we couldn't do as kids. But I mean, it was teenagers. But extraterrestrials do exist. I've talked to people who have been abducted by UFOs. I've talked to people
Mm.
who have. I've seen proof of UFOs with people on my show. Les Durant, UFO investigator, has. I literally watched videos he's done where he puts a cell phone on the ground overnight and records with it, and he will catch 10, 20 different UFOs going over his cell phone every night. It's ridiculous. He's a cool guy. Watch that video, folks. That's a video only episode. You can't listen to that really and then get the full spec of it because he's showing me stuff the whole episode. So you have to watch the video. But so I mean, aliens are real. The history of this earth is convoluted as fuck because of false history and all the other conspiracies out there, the Illuminati, New World Order, the QAnon, all these people that want to hide things from us. So we will never know the true history of this planet until either this planet's in ruins and we find records of it in the Vatican, which me and my co-host Scott are going for the Vatican as soon as the zombie apocalypse happens, just to take them down and finally read what's in the library. But
Yes.
including the Book of Enoch, which all the
Yeah.
books of the Bible are in the Vatican library. So I am dying to read all. Was it 23 missing books, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah. There's a lot of things in there that are, were taken out, but a lot of times it was for a purposeful reason of somebody in a high authority rather than a disapproval or anything like that.
Oh, it was 100% because King James is a bitch and wanted to have what he wanted to have in it. So
Yeah.
100. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, based on my documentary watching in the past 20 years, King James took out 15 of the 23 books, and the other 7 of them or 8 of them were taken out for other reasons and other royalty. So they, the Book of Enoch, the Book of Eve, the Book of some a couple of the different disciples had books that got taken out. I don't know why, unless they were running into things they couldn't explain. That's the only thing I can think of. Maybe a couple of them ran into Sasquatches in different parts of the world. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
Maybe a couple of them ran. Maybe a couple of them. I mean, there's already mention of angels or extraterrestrials in the Bible, so maybe it was more detail than they weren't called angels and they took it out. So I don't know, but I am not a biblical scholar by any fucking means in the world, so I'm not gonna pretend I am. But
Sure, but that was their
I.
only way of censorship, right? You know what I mean? That was
Mhm.
their only way back then of censorship, by taking it out and not making it available to the masses. And they could have, you could argue they were more effective in that back then than anything we can do now with the freedom of information we have, and we can get things out ASAP. Um, One thing he said that was really interesting, um, especially with like the Vatican and things like that, is it's all about control. It's all about making you look here, and I'm actually working over here. You know what I mean? It's all about illusion. And it's all about,
Oh,
and
don't go
if
ahead.
we are looking around and not if we can't focus on a single thing because we're all looking everywhere else, we are just as good as sheep, which lends back into the almost, for lack of a better word, enslaving and having people do the main focus. Religion is limited by the vocabulary that we have as humans and our ability to understand. In the very beginning, I truly believe they did their best at trying to communicate what was actually going on. And over time, just like you were at a crazy party, and over time, the stories change little bit by little bit by little bit until somebody gets a hold of it and wants to use that knowledge for their own gain. So uh, it's fascinating how, again, Vatican, how many areas of the world they have their fingers in terms of monetary property, things of that nature. It's phenomenal how deep it goes. But um, doing our own, research, doing our own, keeping our eyes open to everything, um, we can come up with the right answer. But we also do a good job of discrediting each other too. So all they have to do is create one shred of doubt. We're always going to be fighting that uphill battle, right? All they have to do
Oh
is do
God,
one shred of doubt.
you're not fucking wrong. I mean, every time there's something out there that for every picture of Bigfoot, for every picture of a UFO and extraterrestrial, for every picture of the Goat Man, there is 10 pictures that are fakes that are put out there to dissuade people from believing. Same
Yes.
with Loch Ness, same with all this other sea monsters, same with mer people. I don't know, I can't call them mermaids anymore because that's sexist. Same with mer people. So I mean, there's so many fakes out there for the reals that you can't tell the truth anymore, and you have to be a full on 100% believer to truly believe everything you hear. And yes, the Loveland Frogman is not getting a fucking press. Here's the Goat Man. I'm.
What
Oh,
about the Hopkinsville Goblins? Like, that's a fascinating one too. I'll throw.
that's. I mean, okay, I love the Hopkinsville Goblins, but to me, that's just extraterrestrials. I mean, that's 100% a case of extraterrestrial invasion, and maybe these goblins wanted to fuck with these rednecks, and that's why it happened, but who knows? I mean, stranger things have happened, but I mean,
Look,
there's a great documentary out there, people, that with 2 seasons actually. I forget what it's called. It's called Hopkinsville something. So just look up Hopkinsville documentary, you'll find it. Because there's what the hell is it called? Derek used to advertise it the first season of it. I forget what it's called. I downloaded the first season of it. I never watched it. I downloaded it, but it's actually. I mean, I watched like part of the first episode. It looks very well done. It looks like it's very great, and I pretty sure Small Town Monsters has done a documentary on it by now as well. But it's yeah, extraterrestrials have been on this earth for a long time, and to this day they continue to abduct people. They continue to show up at people's houses, show up outside people's houses. I mean,
yeah,
doorbell cameras have caught fucking plenty. Hunting cameras have caught plenty.
yeah.
What are they called? Field cams or the hell they're called? Like they've caught plenty.
Trail
So yeah, I mean it's just there's so much proof out there, folks, that it's just you gotta skim past the fake shit to find the real shit, and that's the problem with it. That's
Yeah,
the problem with it. The government
yeah.
admits the shit's real, but they won't give you proof.
No, and that's what honestly started mine is, and the first episode we ever did was the whistleblower testimony. And to have somebody, it's big for our community, yours and mine, Jeremy. It's big for our community to have somebody say, I've seen shit, I've been told shit, and people have threatened me for this shit. And if you have those three things in front of Congress on TV and under oath, it makes it that much more believable. And we're not trying to convince, at least I guess I can't speak for anybody else, but I'm not here to convince every single person. If I can just tell and enlighten one individual into other things to think about, then I've done my job. I know things that I've seen. I know things that I've heard. I've met people where I believe their stories. I've also met people where I don't believe what they were telling me. So we can't paint with a broad brush. Oftentimes, we have to be more skeptical than the skeptics because we do have that area of our community that is so out there that spins a bad name for all of us, right? We need to do everything we can to keep promoting the knowledge to the best of our ability. If anybody ever wanted to learn more about real life UFOs and not maybe things on shows, hop on MoveOn, become a member. It doesn't cost really anything. Look up their database and see how many reports come in on a daily basis with picture or video evidence of things that are odd. You can get lost in a rabbit hole just searching your state over the last 30 days and have a boom list of this many things. It is way more common than you believe. It is way more common than you think. Will be surprised about how many things go on in your own town that you might have seen if you walk outside and look up, but maybe you were watching the latest documentary. I'm not sure, Jeremy, about your personal opinion, but I do believe some UFO civilizations are here, whether they're underwater, underground. The Hopi Indian have an ant people that they talk about that came out of the earth and saved them from two apocalypses. They believe these celestial beings are either underground or come or manifest from the ground or under the water. I certainly believe that as well. I believe it's a wonderful place to hide. The analogy that I use is if you're a cat and your family gets a stupid puppy and he's running around, he's being a puppy and it's annoying the hell out of you. Where do you go? You go to where that he can't get to. You jump up on the furniture. You jump up high. You can't climb up there. We are that stupid, annoying puppy. They are the mature adult cat. They're saying these guys can go to space, but nobody's been under the water. I'm going to go down there and hide and have my own base. My opinion.
I fucking love everything you just said. I really do. And couple things I want to break down there. Folks, I just watched The Abyss, a great, oh my
Yes,
God.
wonderful,
Am I,
wonderful.
uh, John Carpenter, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken?
yep, yep.
A great John Carpenter 80s alien movie, which we are doing the 80s alien movie bracket on Paranormal Normal in February at the end of the month, I believe. I still got like 16 movies to watch, or actually, no, like 13, 14 movies to watch, so give me time. And finding these movies is fucking hard. I'm hoping some of them come out streaming in February. But uh, I watched all the popular ones, but yeah, that's right, folks. Spaceballs, Predators, Aliens, Critters, a lot of other alien movies I can't think of. Mac and Me, My Stepmother's an Alien.
Are you throwing ET in there?
I don't. I think it is. Yeah, AT's in there. Yeah.
I didn't know if it was only
Uh,
specific to one category. You're bringing any
no,
kind.
it's 80s alien movies in general. Earth Girls Are Easy, which is a fucking great movie. I just found out. But so a lot of classic '80s movies are gonna be in this bracket. It's coming up at the end of February. I can't wait for this one. And then after that, we're going into the next winner of that one. The next category is gonna be serial killer movies, which will be
Okay.
touching. We'll probably be hitting that in April. But so yeah, just a little preview, folks. Where we'll be hitting soon. But see what you just described. That's why I love the Abyss, because underwater alien bases, I 100% believe in.
Hmm.
I talked to, I'm not going to remember his name, no fucking way now, but I talked to probably, God, 6 months to a year ago now. His father worked in the military. The episode's called The Moon Landing is Fake. I, I don't know, it's called The Moon Landing Isn't Fake because my father worked in the base where they would have filmed it. Um, it's a man whose father he's a Hollywood producer, but his father was in the military, and
Okay.
He's a lot to say about the moon landing and about extraterrestrials in general. But it's a very interesting episode, and he said his father knew about some underwater bases, I believe. So, and I 100% believe, and there's been enough proof of fucking aliens underwater than at this point that fucking God. But, and you also, something else you said though about in the Earth with the Hopi Native Americans.
Hmm. I'm a big fan of
Hollow,
Native American lore.
are you a fan though of Hollow Earth theory?
Ooh, I going back to X Files. I want to believe. I just have not had enough information yet on all of it.
Well, I mean, the fact that Native Americans used to take spirit journeys, and
Yes.
they were the only people ever to cross through the cave systems in the east and the
Hmm.
west and come all the way out the other side.
Hmm.
That right there,
Yeah.
that
Who's
spells
got
Hollow Earth. And it would, and I had Lon Strickler on the show, God, a year and a half ago now. I gotta have him back. He's a good guest, but I gotta have him back. Lon Strickler, folks, a great paranormal investigator from Pennsylvania. He runs a radio show, Monsters and something. I'm sorry, Lon, I can't think of that. Oh, Phantoms and Monsters, radio. He runs that show. Sorry, Lon, couldn't think of it for a second. But he told me stories. He told me stories of dragons coming out of caves in Pennsylvania, dogmen, Bigfoot. Like, where do all these cryptids hide on when they're not in the Pacific Northwest where there's a lot of forest? Because I mean, yeah, in Massachusetts there's a lot of forest in some places, but not a lot of it. And there's a lot of sightings here of different creatures according to different sites, the NADP or the North American Dogman Patrol or the Bigfoot Societies. There's a lot of sightings here. So where are these cryptids hiding? Gee, Hollow Earth, huge caves underneath the ground that could fit a whole Bigfoot clan or a whole Dogman pack. Which I
it?
don't think I'm not sure if the Dogman are really pack animals or if they're solo creatures. Depends on the type, I think. But still,
How hungry
where
they are.
would oh yeah, don't yeah. And yeah, I don't even want to think about that, man. I walk my dogs near to the woods every fucking day of my life. I don't want to think about that. But and my dogs are pussies, so they wouldn't defend. They're masters and they're pussies, so they wouldn't defend me from shit. But if a bear pops out of the woods, I'm gonna be fucking fighting it for the dog. God damn it! But uh, so Hollow Earth to me makes sense. I am a huge proponent of Hollow Earth, Hollow Moon, because I believe the moon landing could have happened. But what did they see when they got there? Why did the feed cut out for an undetermined period of
17
time?
minutes. 17 minutes.
And 17 minutes. And why were all the astronauts shaking at the press conference when they got back? And why have we not gone back since? Or why hasn't any country gone back since? Oh, gee. Is it a Death Star type base that aliens told us not to go back to?
Yeah,
Maybe. I
maybe.
maybe. I don't fucking read minds. I don't know, but I don't. No one's told me either way, but I know when we fired a missile at it, it rang for what was it? 11 minutes, 38 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
So,
Let's take the suitcase, put it on the bed, open it up. Let's unpack. Let's unpack the Appalachian Mountains, the Rocky Mountains. If you take a look at the cave systems that are inside both of them, they can that stretches multiple states, thousands of miles. Absolutely different biomes of areas of different cryptids could live there with different ways to come out, and temperatures again, what have you, is just dependent on where they live. I 100% can get on that. The odds, or the overlay of missing persons over these cave systems is something that you can't really explain. They're always right there. And also with
grab,
sure, go ahead.
grabbing a drink while I'm listening. Okay.
So you have all of that going on this planet. I I have listened to multiple shows, documentaries, whatever you want to call it. And that's not to say that they're all 100% accurate, but if we were to believe them, that the feed cut out, and during those 17 minutes, our astronauts were saying and mentioning how there are ships lining up along the ridge watching us get out of our lander. There have been reports, and please look this up. I can't think of it right now, but there have been reports of astronauts saying it felt hollow up there, or that it was a structure. And the fact that the moon is imperfect, we're only seeing one side of the moon at perfection all the way around, proof that the moon hasn't been there the entire time. The fact that it can cause, a solar eclipse perfectly every single time. There's a lot of weird things going on about that specific moon, our moon, that specific structure, if you want to call it that, if we were to believe Roland Emmerich in Moonfall. We can definitely pull some things from that it could be a base to monitor us, because at the end of the day, we have technology that we don't know how to use perfectly, and we could ultimately destroy us. Now, if we destroy us, could that destroy other dimensional beings? Is that why they're coming and helping us? Is that why they're coming to protect the planet? Not so much for us as humans, but because of the multitude of dimensions that would suffer down the line for that. I love asking that question. That's a big one for me. Why are they so into the technology? Some people think, oh, they're just us from the future and they're trying to protect themselves. That's well and good, but they would then again, who's coming back to help them? Who's coming back to tell us, and it starts to get into this whole big thing that you can't even wrap your mind around. But I 100%, do believe that there are beings inside the earth, under the water, um, that have an impact on humanity, because our consciousness does impact reality. Um, and it's foolish to think that someone else's wouldn't affect ours.
Holy. Okay. Well, one, Nicole, I thank you because for sharing this out. I 100% thank you. I love people who share my podcast. So, and Tom's a podcaster too, so he gets that.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
100%.
Love it. Thank you so much.
I share the love. But and I you have to be from Parapost Network, Nicole. So thank you. Parapost is a great place for all podcasts, whether it be paranormal or otherwise. But I have to say, I mean, multi-dimensional theory. I fucking love it. Um, I mean, see, the only thing I don't like about multi-dimensional theory is it makes it gives a chance that Bigfoot, Dogman, and all these other creatures are ultra-terrestrial, which I hate that theory. I really do. I don't want them to be ultra-terrestrial. I want them to be from Earth. I want them to predate humans. I want them to be what cavemen were afraid of in the dark.
I see it.
Besides, besides the creatures that we know they fear in the dark, like saber-toothed tigers and all that crap. But I want there to be the mysterious cryptids that were there. I like the Gigantopithecus theory that Bigfoot was here before us and that we killed most of them off, but we went that way, they went this way because humans are bad. Which lesson for all animals: humans are bad. So
I get that. I do, and I'm a monster lover at heart as well. That eh, I guess I would differ from you on that, where I would see them as, when we see them in the woods, when we have these things, it's just a thinning of the veil between our dimension and theirs. And they are here, but they're not really in ours. You know what I mean? They're on their version of Earth, and then that's where my belief comes in. But I would love, and I agree with you, I would love for them to be here on Earth. I'm a Tremors guy. I love the idea of monsters. Let's go to 80s monsters movies. I have that 1 month. I absolutely love all of that. But in the more and more I think about it, the more and more I tend to lead towards interdimensional. But it's not where I want it to be. I'm on your side. I want the dog man. I want, the Bigfoot. I want all of the cryptids, skinwalkers, which are probably the baddest MFers of them all. I would love, absolutely love, for all of them to be from here, and um, and
well,
essentially be, yeah,
speaking of such, we have a question.
yes.
Uh, Tremors Rock one, LOL.
Let
Two, Nicole says we don't hear much about the Black Eyed Kids. What are your guys' thoughts on them? Which we did mention the Black Eyed Kids very briefly in this earlier, and okay, one, Black Eyed Kids is a great Boondock song. If you haven't heard it, go listen to it. It's a great rap. But Black Eyed Kids in general, I have heard enough stories on Monsters Among Us and other places to believe in them. I think they are either extraterrestrial or they are, yeah, maybe extraterrestrial in origin. I mean, I don't feel like they're part of this Earth. I don't feel like they fit into this Earth's. I mean, I could see Bigfoot and Dogman thing to this Earth, but they don't feel like they're natural to this Earth. They feel like they're from another dimension, another world, something. And I mean, if you haven't heard of it by now, white-eyed kids are the new thing. White-eyed kids control the black-eyed kids, from what I've been hearing in the
Uh,
last year or so. Which I don't know. What are your thoughts, Tom? I'm dying to hear.
all right, so uh, I do. Hmm, I believe they're sinister in nature, whether it's extraterrestrial or demonic. It's something that's resembling something not harmful to us, but they're not perfectly there. Um, it goes along to my similar theory about the Men in Black, and I'm going to use this as an example where
Ooh,
alien.
okay. I'm coming back to the Men in Black in a minute, but go ahead.
Okay, so I'm thinking along the similar lines of they are aliens, extraterrestrials trying to pose as humans, but they don't get it all right. They don't get everything right. So when you hear stories about Men in Black and the features that they have, you know, they might, if you scanned a room, they would look like a person, but as you really studied them, maybe their ears are so low they're down here, or their eyebrows they don't have, or things like that. I think you can draw a comparison to the Black Eyed Kids this way. I truly, truly do, because if they are trying to get information, they're trying to get close to you. And a lot of these happen on the side of the road, you know, you're in a car, things like that. They're going to appear as children, but their eyes are black because they didn't get everything right on their camouflage, if you want to call it. And they really want you to invite them into their vehicle. That to me would take it a little bit away from the extraterrestrial and more on the demonic side, because there's something to be said about demonic entities. You need to invite them in before they can attach to you. This is just another version of that. You have to literally invite them into your space. That car is your space. You have to invite them in for them to attach to you. So if we're going to drill it down, extraterrestrial and demonic, you can make an argument for both sides. For me, I want to lead toward they're a demonic entity.
Wow.
They are trying to get into your space to attach to you and eventually possess you. And in speaking with some individuals who have been on my podcast that are psychics and mediums, possession doesn't have to be the scary exorcist type of thing. There's millions of possessions that happen in forms of like drug abuse, drug addiction, things like that that come across that you can be possessed and lead to a less than good life. So that's how I'll answer that one.
Apparently, I was muted on that. Nicole had a few more comments during that session. Apparently, she's had some weird things happen, thinking they could be involved. Just don't let them inside. Yeah,
I agree,
as
Nicole.
as 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 Boondock, as Boondock said, we are the ones who lost our way. Let us in. But and yes, they may not have the current clothes either. Yeah, I've heard stories of them dressed in period clothes from the 70s to 40s. So, I mean, I've
Yeah,
also heard them dressed in modern clothes. So, I
I've seen him
okay,
in like
the craziest black eyed kid story I all right. Sorry, but the craziest black eyed kid story I've heard was on Monsters Among Us, and it was a female listener who called it her experience. There was a kid playing in the middle, like in like one of those medians of like a busy intersection, like a highway off on ramp, and like it was like midnight, 2 in the morning, something like that. Her and her friend got out of the car and approached the kid because they were worried about it, thinking it was like a regular kid that was just lost.
yeah,
And this kid literally just turned around, pure black eyes. They got back in the car, drove away. Never, they didn't want to see the kid ever again. But so I mean, And oh, apparently Nicole is the second medium who wrote a book about her UFO and paranormal encounters. Which, Nicole, I'm telling you, message me, Jeremy Bryant, message me. I would love to have you on my show. I would freaking love to have you on my show.
Yes.
And apparently she's done a podcast about them, and about an hour later she heard a knock at her door and no one was there. I've
Ooh.
yet to have oh creepy, yeah, I know, right? Spooky.
Yeah.
But I've yet to have anybody show up. I've yet to have anything show up at my door, knock on my door from doing this podcast, and I've mentioned skinwalkers or schmimwalkers, whatever you want to call them, if you're scared or not. But I read Stephen King. Nothing scares me. But
Right.
I mean, I've mentioned everything in this podcast. I've never had anything show up. Please do. I have so many questions for anything that shows up. I'm not scared of you. I will ask you questions. I
Yeah.
am a curious motherfucker. But and I've used Sage as well. It doesn't really do shit. But and apparently her book is or I don't know, her book is
Beyond.
called Beyond the Stars, True UFO Encounters. So
Okay.
definitely would love to see that. And my Harley, I'm glad you're back as always. But so I mean, Black Eyed Kids, I feel like they're interdimensional, but I also, I mean, all right, you just brought up a whole nother topic, and this is gonna be one of those 2 fucking hour episodes. Swear to God, but which I don't I honestly usually that kills me, but I don't mind it this time because it's flying by and we're having fucking great conversation. So
Right.
you do you believe in demons and angels, the whole church hierarchy type thing? Do you actually
Yeah.
think they're real based on what the church says, or do you think they were misinterpreted as creatures that are misinterpreted as demons and angels?
Very good point. No, I don't believe, I guess, verbatim from the scrolls, religious texts, anything like that. But I do believe you have higher vibrational energies and lower vibrational energies, and they both try to get attraction to you. One's attracting you through anger, pain, sorrow, fear, things like that. And the other one wants to attract you for pride, joy, love, and healing. Um, that's where I believe the angels and demons things are, because like attracts like, and where you live your life, you're going to go to one or the other depending on how your life is. Um, you know, these certain low vibrational energies need a fuel source. They need to eat, for lack of a better word, and they need your energy because you are a walking energy battery essentially to them. They could care less what you do, they just want you to be near them and closer to them so they can feed off of you. So yes, absolutely. I do believe in angels and demons in the realm of higher vibrational and spiritual energy and lower vibrational spiritual energy.
Right. Well, see, that's and Nicole. Yes, I would gladly do that. Nicole's podcast, folks, is Supernatural Whispers. Go give it
Yeah,
a listen. It might be interesting. I'm gladly gonna check it out because I love any paranormal podcast, and
yeah.
you seem to know and I mean a psychic medium running a podcast, and who has had supposed black eyed kids knock on our door after talking about them. I will listen to
Mhm.
that. I will listen to that, and I will subscribe and like and all that good stuff. So, and Nicole's been told that her aura is so bright that it attracts all kind of entities, which makes sense. It does. Those who walk in the paranormal world experience more than those who don't.
It's
I,
true.
my footstep in the paranormal world is like footprints in sand. It disappears when the next tide comes in, so it doesn't mean shit. But it's not no cement like a psychic or medium who leaves literally their footprint fully in cement when they talk in the paranormal world because they do. They do more than I could ever do in this world. And I love psychics and mediums. They're a major part of the show. I interview them constantly. So
Yeah,
thank you all for what you do. But
yeah. They're a great
as,
backbone for our community.
oh, they are. They're huge. And as someone who grew up not believing in them because it was the
Yeah,
'90s and they were the crazy people at the carnivals, or the crazy people with a
no, it's
booth
true.
on Main, with like a little booth on Main Street or a house on Main Street with a little front store. But I mean, now after interviewing so many of them, and you said you said at one point you guessed that you didn't fully believe.
Hmm.
I have not had I I mean, just the same as I'm looking at you. I look at all my guests in the eyes, and I can tell not one of my guests around think lied to me.
Okay.
I mean, or at least they didn't believe they were lying.
Okay.
I guess
I
the
don't even guess from like podcasts. I mean people just talking to me over the course of my
oh maybe
all
okay
podcasts.
that's possible, but
Yeah.
I mean, I thought you just meant
Oh
podcast
no
guests,
no
but
no
I
no
mean,
no.
because my podcast guests, I never feel like they're lying to me. I always feel like it's the God honest truth because I look in their eyes and either it's true or they believe it's true. One of the two, and I am fine with that either way. But I mean, as far as heaven and hell go, before I go to your question, Nicole, I didn't forget about you, but as far as heaven and hell go, they're different dimensions. That's all they are. I love Milton's Paradise Lost. It's one of my favorite books. It's one of my favorite topics for songs out there. Um, Cradle of Filth did a whole album around it, Damnation in a Day, about Paradise Lost, and it's one of the greatest stories out there in the world. But and I love the idea of Lucifer. I love the idea of the Morning Star. I love the idea of he fell and created his own army to become evil. But sorry, folks, I don't think that's quite true. Was there an extraterrestrial named Lucifer? Maybe. I cannot tell you the past. But is it possible? Is it possible one of them was called Lucifer? Or we are humans deciphered as Lucifer? Yeah, maybe. But as far as angels and demons go, I don't 100% believe in them. I'm not a religious person by any fucking means. I'm a agnostic. I believe there's something out there. I tend to lean more towards its extraterrestrial in origin, but I don't know what it is, and I'm not going to pretend I do. But so heaven and hell are just different dimensions. There's 12 or 17 of them, so and that we know about. There might be more. So and from what I've been told by lucid dreamers and astral projectionists I've had on my show, some of them will scare the shit out of you. Some of them will make you feel welcome, and they're creatures you want to deal with. So the ones that scare the shit out of you are one of those hell, like the first, like maybe the not the first, second, or third, because that's what we live in, but maybe the actually maybe it's opposite. Maybe if fifth dimension's heaven, then maybe the 17th dimension's hell. Who the fuck knows? But I'm down for that, and if that's hell, then whatever. I'm down with it. But Nicole said,
Oh,
and oh, there we go. About doppelgangers. What if you see one? What kind of haunting would it be?
well,
Uh,
I'm not sure if you were listening earlier. I have been, I have been dealing with the doppelganger spirit, and what that more commonly is known to as a trickster spirit. Um, Through whatever means it's trying to fool you, and when I do believe it's sinister, so it'd be a sinister type of haunting, I guess, a more demonic if you want to go to that level, or more of a darker haunting. But when you have these things that mimic voices, that mimic images, that mimic places, um, they are definitely something that you don't want to be a part of. When you're in and I'll just give examples, quick examples of mine. I've been in my house and heard, mother, father, brother, and they're not home. They're not there. I've been upstairs and listening and heard friends downstairs and they're not there. And I'm literally looking and I start questioning myself with, did I actually hear that? Did that come across? Was that me mistaking it? And if anything, I consider them just in the corner laughing at me, having an existential crisis of, did I hear somebody that was not there? Is this me? Is this that? I've walked past, and this has happened at work. I work in a big building. It's about 80,000 square feet, but I have walked past people and, I'm just like, give a head nod or whatever. I get back to my area, which could be on another floor or on the other side of the building, and they're over there, and they weren't walking with me. There's no other way to go around to circumvent and go all the way around the building and come in. There's no physical possible way, and it what's scary now, and I guess it's only scary because I'm thinking about it, but is I don't even think anything about it anymore, Jeremy. I don't even think like it's odd anymore. And what is the end game? Maybe there isn't one. Maybe they just want to, mess with you and make you look like an idiot. But if we were to take it down and examine what is the serious and sinister nature of it, it could be that it's trying to get your guard down by making you think that what you're experiencing is not truly what's going on, and then it can fully manifest itself and live and trap you, ensnare you, because you uninvitedly let them in by not reacting to their presence. So I think that could be part of it as well. You're on.
Yeah, yeah. I keep forgetting I'm muted, but a lot to unpack there. Okay, Nicole apparently. Okay, well, depends on faith, where the angels and demons things. She's had too many experiences with doppelgangers not to believe in them, and she's had her share of angels and demons too. Which that's the thing I can't. That's the thing that mystifies me. But that's the thing that mystifies me is I've had so many people tell me like I have a guardian angel. I talk to him on a daily basis, and it's like,
Hmm.
um, I don't necessarily believe in heaven, but are angels just extraterrestrials talking to humans, or are
Could be.
there or spirits? I don't know, but and no worries, Nicole. You can rewatch it later, of course. And
Yeah.
we've been going for an hour and 20 minutes, and I mean, we'll stop eventually, but I don't see us stopping just yet because it's a really good conversation. And I usually don't do episodes this long, but when I have this good conversation, I ain't fucking stopping what I like. What I like. So, and
So
yes, you can see and hear spirits. Sorry, there's a few to go through, but and Nicole says she's at the point where I have to set boundaries. Yes, a lot of mediums I've talked to have to set boundaries, or spirits
yeah.
take advantage of them. I mean, they just. One of my guests, Brendy Alexander, wrote a great fictional book series. It's book two is coming out soon about a medium who can, or psychic, what do you want to call them, who can see spirits and talk to them. And it's a really good. It's called Genesis, the first book. It's a really good book. I read the first book before I talked to her. She was one of the first. She was the second guest on my show, or third. So, and I read her second book already as a beta reader, and I am so excited to talk to her about it because her series is so good. And she's bringing it's a religious book somewhat, so she's bringing angels and demons into it in the first book and the second book, and gods in it all the way, and it's an amazing series. I recommend anybody check out Brandy Alexander, the author. It's an amazing book series. I can't wait for the second book to come out. She has like the fifth book she's writing now. It's freaking incredible. I can't wait. I love a good it's a young adult fiction type thing, but I love a good young adult fiction. I mean, there's nothing wrong with good clean fiction in my mind. So,
Absolutely.
and oh, apparently Nicole saw her cousin's doppelganger and she lives at the back house. And when you can hear them, it's not pretty too, especially the demonic entities. So, I don't know what those other comments are about, but I mean, so yeah, I doppelgangers to me. I mean, my favorite example of doppelgangers is How I Met Your Mother, of course. But besides that, I mean, I'm a pop culture nerd. Sorry, folks, but I I I had no experience with doppelgangers because if there's a second of me out there, God help the world. But the world barely handles one of me. I don't think it can handle two of me. Fate tries to knock me down every day. I get back up. But uh, Chumbawamba there for you folks, some Chumbawamba.
Yeah.
But I mean, I truly believe doppelgangers exist. I've heard enough tales of them that I 100% believe they exist. But I don't know. I don't know. I believe they exist. Doppelgangers is all I can say is I believe they exist 100%. And
Mhm.
I mean, everybody on this earth is supposed to have a twin. Whether we know it or not is a whole other thing. But if there's a version of me in Japan, they must eat a lot of sushi. That's all I gotta say. So, but oh,
Yeah.
apparently you released a 17th edition. That's fucking incredible. But
Yeah, wow.
uh, and apparently Nicole's seen a spirit portal. I've never seen a portal. I've heard of them. I've heard stories of them, but I've never seen a portal per se. I don't know what to think of them. I mean, portals exist. I mean, look at the fucking sun right now. There's like a portal coming through the middle of the sun, from what I'm being told. But
Mhm.
so extraterrestrials, aliens, yeah, it's the only thing I can think of. I don't fucking know. I mean, celestials, maybe. I mean, Russia's doing some nasty shit right now, so is China. So who the hell knows what's coming in this world in the next couple of years? But
Yeah.
Jesus,
Well, many people think there's natural portals that occur on this earth organically, and volcanoes actually are a big one where you have ungodly high EMF detection that's happening there where there shouldn't be. And many individuals think that those are portals to get, an interdimensional portal where extraterrestrials can fly out of. And there has been multiple reports of sightings of coming out of the like volcano domes and things like that. Um, in Native American culture, we used to, um, build our tribes, huts, whatever you want to call it, around ley lines and negative energy or positive energy pathways and avoid negative energy pathways and things like that. So whether it's a full, I know maybe sci-fi wants us to think of, maybe a spiraling type of like portal thing or something like that. It's probably not that. I definitely believe in portals. I haven't seen one either. There is a belief that animals like dogs, cats can see them, and when they're looking at a wall, a portal appeared. It's maybe not an individual at all, but yeah, I thank you for your knowledge and sharing that about portals. I know for a fact they exist, but I'm glad you have seen one. I would love to know and hear you, hear where you know what they would look like, because I would be interested to to know
and
what the description is.
just so everybody in Spotify land could hear this, Nicole says spirit pearls tend to come in all shapes and sizes and colors. I think, to be honest, the one I saw was a dark round portal, not a good sign. And I put a cross on it, even though I'm not Catholic, but I believe in the faith, and I I seen it like other spirit world in my mind eye for a split second, but it had an impact on my life. And I mean, yeah, I actually was told the other night that I should be hanging Catholic crosses all around my house, even if I'm not Catholic. Just get them blessed by a Catholic priest, because they'll do it. If you go to a Catholic church, they'll bless anything, basically. You might have to give a little donation. You might have to give a little donation and look aside on the little boy touching and all that. But
Yeah,
other other than that, I mean, the Catholics will bless anything. But yeah, you can hear my hate for organized religion, can't you? But other than that, I mean, portals are a really real thing. I've had guests talk about fae, fairies,
hmm
gnomes, that type of thing, and I 100% believe in all that because something wouldn't be that prevalent in folklore unless it was real. So
hmm
I believe in trolls. I believe in fairies. I believe in I'm Fox fucking Mulder. I believe in everything. So sue me, but please don't. I don't have the money for that, but sue me. Um, Before we wrap this up, because it is getting later in the night on the East Coast here, and I have to work in the morning. And I got kids. I got kids to get up and get in the bus. So I just want to ask this though:
Sure.
what is your theory on Dogmen? My favorite. Okay, actually, I have two questions, but first things first. What's your theory on Dogmen? One of my favorite cryptids of all time.
I absolutely believe in folklore of and especially dogmen. Beast of Bray Road comes to mind, right? Michigan is a hotbed for these type of sightings. Upstate Ohio as well. I have
Beast of Land Between the Lakes.
yes, yes.
The
So
most fam the most not the most okay, not the most famous, but the most deadly of all dogmen is on that island.
hmm
I've had, but just know before you give me your answer.
sure.
I've had D.A. Roberts of the North American Dogman Patrol on my podcast, and
Okay.
he's been the Land Between the Lakes. So I am a even before that, but especially, I am a huge fucking believer in dogmen. I believe in them as much as I believe in Bigfoot. So please, oh, tell me what you believe.
Yes, I do believe in them. I do believe there's more to the wilderness that meets the eye. There's more to this world than meets the eye. I want to say dogmen um, could be a simple, the dogman and the werewolf lore are very closely related. It's not uncommon to think that the trauma in the form of that area where there's many, many native wars and going on, the trauma has taken a tulpa form of most of a wolf, which is synonymous with Native American lore and man of actually how we are. So it's very, very interesting to put that into context that the trauma of the land becoming a tulpa has created this entity here in our world. So I think that's a fascinating way to take it. I do believe that there's a ton of Michigan wilderness, cavernous areas, and Appalachia where dogmen can hide out on as well.
Oh, all right. The fact that you said Topa on a podcast and I didn't have to. Fuck yes. I am usually the only person to talk about Topos. And Nicole, I see all your questions, and I'm going to message you in a minute, and I will send you dates tomorrow probably. I'm going to message you now so I don't forget about it. But I'm going to send you dates tomorrow to come on my show, just saying now. Because we're not going to have time to hit all your comments and questions. I'm sorry. But you can come on my show and talk about anything you want, sweetie. So your day will come. But I believe, and this is everything I've learned from multiple podcasts and documentaries and everything else in the world. Dogmen are 100% fucking real. There are two different types of them, as we know. There could be more. The Hollow Earth theory plays fully into dogmen, I believe, because they've been seen a lot around caves.
Hmm.
And anybody who doesn't believe in dogmen, one, what the fuck? Two, Google NADP, North American Dogman. I think it's Patrol. I could be wrong about the P, but it's NADP. Look at the map on their site, and there's another site that's another site that follows Dogman that has a world map of Dogman sightings. World map everywhere, but Antarctica and parts of Asia, but even in Africa, Australia, parts of Asia, all over Europe. Like, fuck. Dogmen are as widespread as Bigfoot. And for those who don't know what Dogman is, yes, Nicole, I see your comment. I'm just going to put up and address it here. For those who don't know what dogmen are what a word I fucking hate. Werewolves was based off of. The lore of werewolves was based off of dog men. Because
Yep.
they the Beast of Jodavan, the Beast of the Beast of Jodavan's the earliest example I can think of. Actually no it's not. The Epic of Gilgamesh from Mesopotamia. His best friend is Enkidu, which is either a dogman or a Bigfoot, based on how they describe him. So dogmen have dated back to the fucking beginning of time. Anubis, Egyptian god. Dog, humanoid.
Hmm.
And I had a guest. One of my first guests, Christopher. Fuck me, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, buddy. I forget. But, oh, it's going to kill me. It's going to kill me. I'll think of it eventually. But one of his fellow soldiers in the army was in Egypt with him. Saw a statue of Anubis. Freaked the fuck out. What is that? They explained to him what it was. I have seen that thing 3 times when I was a kid in my yard in New Orleans. Rougarou territory. So
Ooh.
I have heard so much evidence and seen so much evidence, not personally, but photos and videos, that Dogman is 100% real. Like my good friend Tom here said. And yes, you're going to be seeing him a lot more in these podcasts, but trust me, this conversation has been fucking legendary right here. This is one of the best episodes I've had
Anytime
in a
you want
lot.
me back, I'll be back. I love the
This episode's been one of the best episodes I've had in a long fucking time, so fuck.
good. I'm
But
glad.
talking paranormal is like fucking close to sex with me, people. So Jesus Christ, it is. It just is. It's close, but no cigar. But Dogmen have been around since the beginning of fucking time. They will be around long after humans. There are two different types. Don't remember their specific names at this point because I don't have the websites up. But one's aggressive, one's not.
Mhm.
One's territorial, one's aggressive. Don't fuck with either. That's my advice. But Beast of Bray Road, read Linda Godfrey's books. Watch documentaries with Linda Godfrey. She is a goddess and a saint of paranormal history. Watch and read anything she did. The Beast of Lamb Between the Lakes. Look it up. There is a legend there, or story, not even a legend, a true story of a family that was murdered on the beach on Land Between Lakes. It's an island between Wisconsin and Michigan, I want to say. And there's a family murdered there. Little girl slaughtered, thrown up in the trees.
Ooh.
Police thought it was a police. Yeah, it's fucking brutal. Not for
Yeah.
kids, but but this show is not for kids, so I don't have it for kids, so no worries. But police thought it was a serial killer. What serial killer throws a fucking body in a tree? That's why I say. But so I mean, Beast of Bray Road, Beast Between the Lakes, Michigan Dogman is getting more and more traction these days. So fuck yes, go Michigan Dogman. Change all the Michigan teams to Dogman, please, please. But so I mean, that's just three examples. They're all over the fucking world. Look into them, folks. Dogmen exist. Skinwalker Ranch.
Yes.
Are all dogmen skinwalkers or are all skinwalkers dogmen? I'm not proposing either of those, really. I think they're two different entities. I think
Yeah.
skinwalkers are a Native American thing, and I like just like the Wendigo, and I think dogmen are a whole other topic. But Skinwalker Ranch had giant wolves, so who the fuck knows? And I mean, I haven't seen Skinwalker Ranch in about 2 seasons, I think, so maybe one, but still, great show. Check it out. But dogmen are real, folks. If you don't believe in them, I don't know what else I can tell you. I don't. They're real. I've heard enough stories of people encountering them. I just released an episode this past Saturday with John Russell, a psychic medium, and you might have him on your show too. He's been around the podcast apparently, but he's a great guest. He's been a psychic for 50 plus fucking years. He's a great guest. He had a possible encounter with a dog man. Hear about it on my show if you want. It
Yeah.
releases last Saturday. It releases last Saturday. It's a fucking great episode. He is a great guy. He gave me some good advice after the show too, but that's for no one's ears but mine. Dogmen are real, but hey, folks, I gotta end this because I got a cold and talking for an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes is giving me horrible throat here. Tomorrow's gonna be fucking hell, but I'll live because this conversation's been worth it. So,
Yeah.
and it's sad, I know, Nicole, and yeah, I believe you guys back to me to watch Skinwalker Ranch because that show, Skinwalker Ranch, one of the only fucking shows nowadays to show real proof of UFOs, of
Yes.
portals. Thank you, Skinwalker Ranch. Fuck Dragon, because that's the worst name in history. But everybody else, love you.
Love
I'm,
love that
I'm
show.
kidding. I'm kidding, Dragon. If you're listening to this, I'd love to have you on my show. I really would. I really would. Any of you guys from Skinwalker Ranch. I've actually tweeted, or X'd, I guess now, the guy from, the head guy from Skinwalker Ranch all the time with the glasses that has the money. I've messaged him multiple times trying to get him on my show. He doesn't respond. But I will keep trying, Brandon, whatever the fuck your name is now. But Tom, since I already know at this point, you're gonna be on my other show, and we gotta have you back in here at some point as well.
Yeah.
Where can people where can people find you? Where can people find your podcast? Promote yourself to the fucking fullest, sir.
All right. Well, yes, I'm the host of Labeled Paranormal Podcast. Me and Mark Way, we take a topic approach to these. We break down a topic every episode in the world of paranormal. So if it is labeled paranormal, we will talk about it. You can find us on YouTube with video. We're also on Spotify, Alexa. Say Alexa, play Labeled Paranormal Podcast. We're on there. Apple Podcasts. You name it, we're there. Also, if you have a story, we are also into submission stories as well and would like to have people on to talk about them in depth about their topic. So please email us at labeledparanormal@gmail.com. We will respond. We'd love getting them. We will talk to you and invite you on and have you talk about your experience and things like that, because you guys are what makes our shows run. We do this for you guys. I know Jeremy does as well. So, Labeled Paranormal, find us anywhere you find your podcasts. Watch the video on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, and email us with any submissions that you would like to possibly be on about at labeledparanormal@gmail.com. So there's that.
Exactly, folks. And please go check out his podcast. I beg you, because I definitely will. Because next time you come on this show, though,
Mm-hmm.
gotta bring on your co-host.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Are you the Mulder and he's the Scully?
Yeah. Actually, yes. Yes, that's a great way to put it. He can give you facts, dates, times, things like that, and I'm sitting there conjuring up theories about what we're going about.
Well, I can't wait to meet him. I love a good Scully because I can usually make them admit they are not right. But we'll see, folks. For those who don't know how to find your infamous host, Jeremy, shame. Shame on you. Shame on your house. Shame on your cow and all that good stuff. You can find me in the outro where you can check out everything I'm from. It's too fucking long a list to do every show, guys. Come on now. But as I've been told in the last week or two, I'm a podcast whore, and you're not wrong. But so check out the outro, find out where you can find me. And until next time, which I believe I will be back Saturday evening with an interview. Looking forward to a weekend interview again. And Saturday night, still coming together with the guests, but as we are taking a bracket we did on Global Strangeness already started on Global Strangeness. We did the first two parts. We're doing the third part Sunday. But we're doing the first part once again on Paranormal New Normal with different guests. We are doing the most awesome creatures of all time bracket. That
Yes.
means creatures from movies, creatures from fiction, creatures from legend, creatures from mythology, creatures from horror movies, and everything else. This bracket is three parts. We're doing the first part on Paranormal New Normal on Saturday. If you didn't catch the Global Strangers one, come check it the fuck out, because it's a lot of fun. I don't like who won the first one on Global Strangers, so I want to do it again anyway. But how the fuck does that one win? I'm not gonna say who, because then it's gonna curse me to make it win again. But come watch it and see if the same one wins, because if it does, I might have a fucking breakdown on live. So we'll see. But Jesus fucking Christ, I might. Oh my God, I'll tell you after we go off live. But I don't. Jesus. Um. But yes, I want to thank Tom for coming on. It's been a fucking amazing hour and 45-minute show. My listeners are gonna
Love it. Thank you.
my oh, my pleasure, sir. And my listeners are gonna love this. And you have a good night too, Nicole. Thank you for listening to this. I will be messaging you shortly, trust me, because I want to have you on my show. But t- Tom will be back again, folks, either on my other show or on this show. He'll be back again in some short form. Other than that, have a good night, and remember, the world's not normal. Never will be. I'm out. Peace, folks.
See you, everyone.